Welcome to FYI. FYI family, good morning to each and every one of you. It's a late start, and this end it's a rainy morning in central Georgetown. We hope that you guys are well. Wherever you're joining us from, I'm not even going to say it's a cold and rainy morning because we know that you guys in the diaspora, you all laugh at us. Elizabeth and Warnella and Dennis and Dyson, you all laugh. That's why we talk about cold. So I'm not even going to go there, but it's a very rainy morning in Georgetown. Good to have all of you on with us. I see Elizabeth is watching us from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, you're straying, girl. You're straying. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good to have you on. Nonetheless, even from North Carolina, you're not in the south this morning. You've gone to the north. Good morning to you. Good morning to the Narines in South Carolina, even though Elizabeth is in the north this morning. Dennis Primo is on with us too, and Renella and Natasha Brister. John and Dion is here. Good to have each and every one of you here with us this morning. Those of you might be a little under the weather, we pray you return to full health very soon. A number of folks are under the weather this morning, but you're here in the land of the living, and you know that's something to be thankful for. That is something to be thankful for. Happy again to have all of you here with us. I was listening to the inauguration mass of the Pope over the weekend, and something he said struck me, and it was the humility of it. He said, I was chosen without any merit of my own. Such kind words, like so many of us. We don't even know why we're alive, but for the awesome grace of God, go I. But for the awesome grace of God. He said, I was chosen without any merit of my own. Now with fear and trembling, I come to you as a brother who desires to be a servant of your faith and joy, walking with you on the path of God's love, for he wants us all to be united in one family. You're in the land of the living, you got a lot to. That's all I'm saying there. That's all I'm saying there. Good to have you, Jilly G, with us. Jilly G was talking my name over the weekend, making laugh off of me with friends and family. But that's okay. Anything for family here. Good to have you on this morning, Jilly G, Lynette Finance, Simone, Adiola Johnson. Simone, good to have you on the live this morning. Where's Naomi? Naomi, like she's on a vacation from us. Or she gone to the other side. Humi, I see you there. Tuana Green, Rena Cummins, see you as well. Hard working. Rena Cummins, always out there working hard, making the arguments. Lester Williams, Sandra Holder, good to have you on the live this morning too. Good morning, Lorraine Harmon. I noticed that Jilly G is telling me good morning, like I short. David Papin, good to see you. Don Caesar, good to see you as well. All the good folks on the live this morning. So much is happening, folks. So much is happening in our world. So much. There's a lot. There's plenty. There's enough. Folks, if you're a person of faith and you got some prayers, you got some prayers up in you. The President of the United States, former President Joe Biden, they still say president. They don't say former president. Joe Biden, he has been diagnosed with cancer recently. They said the cancer has metastasized. It has gone into his bones, and they're telling us when cancer gone in your bones, there's no cure from there. There's only perhaps management of it. Those of you who are in the medical profession, you could articulate this better than I can. But I was reading some of this on Reuters this morning, that international news agency, and they're saying that he is getting the best care possible. He was diagnosed quite recently, and taking it in strides. Everybody who I saw, I'm talking about in American politics who commented on this, referred to Joe as a fighter. Joe the fighter, and saying, you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. I saw some world leaders as well commenting on it. Folks, you mightn't get everything, but you got health, on your side. Fairly decent health on your side. That's something to be thankful for. All your ducks in a row, but you got a couple. You got a couple. I saw a young lady over the weekend. I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, yes, I remember now. A young lady that I did law with. I think she was a batch below me. She was in the year before, below me. And I said to her, I was making my laps in the park over the weekend. I said, how are you doing? She says, well, I'm rolling with the punches, but I landed a couple, I'm throwing a couple of my own. That's the attitude. Rolling with the punches, but you're throwing a couple of your own. And I added, you're landing a few too. That's the important thing. We ain't got to win every battle, right? We win a couple. You win most of them. That's the important thing. Let's pray for a brother this morning. You're a person of faith. They're going through it. They're going through it. They're going through it. Thoughts and prayers with the former president of the United States of America, Joe Biden. Even Trump, I think, offered some very kind words. Yeah. So good morning, folks, wherever you're joining us from this morning. Happy to have all of you here with us. Happy to have each and every one of you with us this morning. Wherever you're joining us from, happy to have all of you here with us this morning. And if you know a couple of people who are not doing so well, say a prayer for them. Say a prayer for them. Please and thank you. That being said, folks, you all know we were in the National Assembly last week, Friday, very late, and that's why we didn't have a morning program. And we were talking to each other in the National Assembly and to the nation about the importance of having oil spill legislation. Now, we've been behind these guys for a long time. As Sabak News in its editorial this morning points out, it's 4 years, 9 months it has taken this government to come to the National Assembly to lay legislation. 4 years, 9 months. I could imagine it was very, very they were very, very busy spending the money. They were very, very busy spending the money. So the legislation for the oil that bringing it in, they weren't too concerned about the spill and possible spills and so on. And for my own simple small contribution, I had to let them know that these are grave issues. Thanks to you guys, I've been to Tobago about 2 years ago to Tobago and witnessed an oil spill happening in real time. That solo creed vessel there upturned in the Caribbean Sea just off the coast of Tobago at Cove Bay, I think it was. Canoe Bay. Canoe as in the boat you are rowing. Canoe Bay, right? Just off the coast there, tons of oil leaked into the Caribbean Sea. And I saw the devastation that caused to wildlife, to the fishing industry there, to tourism. All of those hotels that dot the landscape there on the coast of Tobago, the devastation. And, they're still counting the cost there. They're still counting the cost. And, the editorial this morning in Starbuck News, for our readers out there, recommended reading. They didn't hold back. They didn't pull any punches with this government, but talked about the growing scrutiny that this government faced over oil pollution, prevention, preparedness, response, and responsibility. That's the name of a mouthful. Name of the bill: the Oil Pollution Prevention, Preparedness, Response, and Responsibility Bill of 2025. We can call it the Oil Pollution Bill, right? For short, right? So we've been producing about 700,000 Not 7,000, you know. This is not sugar. Jesus Lord, not a story. This is not sugar. 700,000 barrels of oil daily. Daily. That's a lot of oil. Is a Gwinnett is a lot of money coming in. Troy, Paulette, Marlin, Aletha is a lot of money. Rudolph is a lot of money coming in. So they were detained, spending the money. Spent even Friday when we met. You know, a financial paper was laid. That's the only time you see them really in the National Assembly. Now. That's the only time a sitting is called. When the people call a sitting, you know, money. Money. Right? Money. That's what they're coming for. So they spend the 1 point something trillion and they're coming back for another $70 billion. Edward, money. Rena is money. $70 billion they're coming back for. Somewhere there about Euclid, money. But I expect the Guyanese to run on water. That's campaign money to come back for this. 70 billion. 70 billion. And Grace is asking correctly, where the money going? You know, we've asked that several times. Where is the money going? Where the money going? So they come back now. More money. Spend, baby, spend. Pump, baby, pump. They can't pump fast enough. You know, all of us like pumping. Some, you know, this thing here. We got, it's our oil. The oil up on your pump. That's what's happening here. 700 barrels a day. But if that is where you're getting the money from, if that's where you're getting the nice time from, the largest, I'll take care of it now. Parent company guarantee it, the man. Come on now. You see, they want the outcome, they don't want the process. The outcome and they don't want the process. Look, some of you might not have been now joining us, now catching up to national events because in election time, more people suddenly are tuning in. We understand that politically. You know, some people plug out after election, they're fed up, they're exhausted. You know, they're exhausted. And so they plug out and then they tune in back close to election again. Right? No fault there. Many times along the way, I felt like plugging out. Many times along the way, I felt like plugging out. Right? So now that we're in this walk to election, they got to take some boxes. I'll spill legislation is one. They come on the ticket. Right? That is one. But the money really, they ain't concerned with health and safety and all that. Right? Primary is money. Money for thief, money for the boys, money for friends, money for family, money for favorites. Belinda, Rastaman, that's it. Money, 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 money. I was privileged to be able to contribute in a very small part to the articulation of some of the ideas on the parliamentary opposition side. But I was very, very touched by the presentation of MP Sherwin Holder and MP David Patterson on this subject matter. They are the ones who've been really and truly in the forefront of this day one. You know? And so I told in the National Assembly, I said, I thought for government, Kamal Prasad, Kamal, how are you doing? Right? Good to see Kamal Prasad on the live this morning. You know, I saw a nice big lady. I was showing my wife on TikTok dancing and having a fantastic time. And I thought of Kamal. This is Kamal. This is Kamal. You know, later years, lovely spirit, Kamal. Good to see you on the live after a long time. Happy to have you here. So I was very, very heartened by those presentations. My colleagues who've been in front of this matter from day one. And also a big thank you to Dr. Vincent Adams. He has been out front day one. He has been out front day one on issues like this. Right? Here's some of what my colleague Sherwin Holder, he's the chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, that behemoth of a party, and he has to do a lot of work in this party, a lot of work too as a member of parliament. And here he is in the National Assembly folks on Friday last. Here's some of what he said on this oil spill legislation, this oil pollution bill, as we'll call it in a short form. Take a look. Take a listen.
Legislation, notwithstanding its weaknesses, should be welcomed as long as its intended purpose is to serve in the best interests of the people of Guyana. The Oil Pollution Prevention, Preparedness, Response and Responsibility Bill, Mr. Speaker, if configured in the right way, can form an important step towards safeguarding our environment and coastal communities from the detrimental impact of oil pollution. But while the bill represents an effort, and I wouldn't say whether it's a good effort or a bad effort, it is essential that we critically examine its provisions to clarify whether it is done in the interests of the people of Guyana and to ensure it effectively addresses the complexities and challenges of oil spill management. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I wish to acknowledge the bill's emphasis on prevention and preparedness specified under Part 3 of the bill from pages 14 to pages 12 to 14. However, all this section really does is to add another agency to the prevention and preparedness mechanism in the form of the civil defense. It deals with the local or facility contingency plans. It essentially lays out that the oil companies must prepare an oil spill contingency plan, and they cannot operate without it being approved. Mr. Speaker, this is simply a copy and paste process, since these conditions are already in existence under the EPA Act and through the permits being issued, which governs the operation of the oil companies. Mr. Speaker, if you examine the permits, it spells out clearly and even more in depth the very responsibilities that the government seeks to duplicate through this bill, and in some instances, it seeks to assume the responsibilities which should lie with the oil company. Mr. Speaker, what is more alarming is the hypocrisy in this section. There is absolutely nothing there specific to prevention, no specific details. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the government is currently allowing the oil companies to violate the intent of existing laws to prevent an oil spill by accommodating them while they exceed the design production limit. Mr. Speaker, the Liza 1 project, as established by the EIA Environmental Impact Assessment, which was done, states clearly on page 8, Roman numeral 8, under the heading Production and Operation, that the design rate is 100,000 barrels per day, and that it is designed to, let me quote, safely operate at sustained peaks of 120,000 barrels per day. Mr. Speaker, this PPP government has consistently allowed the operator to produce way above the design limits, as much as 150,000 barrels per day, 25% more, Mr. Speaker. This should be of great concern, particularly to the citizens who live on our coastline and those who depend on the fishing industry for their livelihoods. I want the Prime Minister, who is the mover of this bill, and the Vice President, who believes he is of a higher rank than the Prime Minister of this country, to explain to this nation why they are callously, Mr. Speaker, callously allowing this to happen. Why are they bending to the demands of the oil companies? How can you now say that you are doing everything possible to prevent an oil spill? Are you not concerned, and this is my question to the government, Are you not concerned for the safety and well-being of the Guyanese people? Why are you placing capital gains above the interests of the people of this country? What, Mr. Speaker, what is in it for the People's Progressive Party? What is there to be gained by your reckless action? They must face the people of this nation and explain to them, Mr. Speaker, given all that would have transpired in this country, especially in the last few weeks, I think the people of Guyana understand fully how crooked they are.
Yeah, that's welcome back. That's some of what MP Hole has said, making his contributions in the National Assembly. Asking a number of very, very searching questions. Right? All you really care? You really care? It is amazing, We are a nascent oil producing economy. We just started anything. You had an oil spill in Tobago right next door. Right next door, and they had no interest. No, Trinidad has been preparing. Get us some tea. Trinidad, thank you so much. Trinidad has been, thank you very much. Yeah. I got some tea, folks. Thank you. Yeah, so Trinidad has been in oil for more than 100 years. Right? Peggy Elias. Peggy, how you doing? Great to see you on the live this morning, and happy that you're here. Troy and Gwyneth, Fidel and Dolly, good to see you guys as well. Trinidad has been in this business for over 100 years. They had a oil spill operating in real time, but the government said, they ain't got nothing they could teach we. Right? Because remember, they're bright more than everybody else. I was on the ground there, on the coast of Trinidad. Thanks again to the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine. Thanks to him, I left the airport and went straight to meet him. And he started walking me through how they operate and the interagency connections. Brought out the whole Bible, the protocol book. Take book like this. This is what we use. This is the manual. This is not waiting for no vice president to say who could move or who could say what. There's a system. Soon as a drop of oil leak, Bible, we go into it and we walking through, in real time. And you all have heard me tell this before. They had closed off the whole Canoe Bay to journalists and so on. Go in there, and they were beginning the cleanup exercise. And he gave me, this is the chief secretary, he's like the head of government. Not like he is the head of government in Tobago. Bearing in mind that Tobago and Trinidad are two different governance systems. Right? He is the head of government in Tobago. He moved all the red tape, and I was able to go on that beach. I had meant to spend just an hour. And even with that oil spill, you heard me say the beach was so beautiful. I spent probably 3-4 hours there. Right? It was just me for the most part, me and God. And I walked miles along the coastline, looking to see what that oil was doing with that coastline. I didn't see one person from this government. I didn't see one person from this administration. None of them. Not one of them. I didn't see them at Canoe Bay, which was the epicenter of the oil spill. I didn't see them at Lambo. That was another area tremendously affected, a fishing community there in Trinidad and Tobago. I didn't see none of them there. I spoke with people on the ground there at Lambo. I was able to talk with David Patterson and Dr. Vincent Adams, connect him with the experts on the ground. And they were asking the experts questions, and they were answering, giving them back information in real time. I didn't see the PPP. And they're coming out to lecture us, Colin, about oil spill. Scarborough, the capital, Tobago there, affected also by this oil spill. Hotels along the coast from Canoe Bay to Scarborough and beyond affected. I didn't see one PPP official Whether a low ranking or high ranking, none of them had any interest. We on this side, we take this matter seriously. We take oil production, right? Oil and gas production, upstream, downstream, everything very seriously. Upstream, downstream, in the middle, and at the two sides, very, very seriously. But not them boys. Can you imagine? Could you fathom that? They're gone to study now. What they could have gone and see with their own two eyes in real time. None of them were there. None. And it's still happening next door. Next door. You know why? They probably were compromised. Because we hear the boat that spilled the oil was heading to Guyana. Was backdoor business. Was under the table. People like backdoor business. Right? And to Jagdo and to Kwame, they like backdoor business. So maybe that is why they wanted to keep hush. And they want to talk to you and I about good governance. They're going to take no textbook. Jagdo believe because he read a page, he is an expert. Well, I've been on the ground. You got to give me a DR now. You got to give me a doctor. If he read a page and he think he know about oil spill and everything, come on now. Come on now. And I told you guys equally, when they had the referendum on Venezuela, we can come to that. Venezuela had the referendum on our Essequibo, our beautiful Essequibo that belongs to us Guyanese. We've been down to Region 1, some other border locations, didn't see any of them. Even came down to Kamaka, under 10 minutes, gone. And then he and 40 soldiers went to the mountaintop, and he said, oh, this is leadership. This is courage. Right? You and I didn't have 40 soldiers guarding us, making sure that we're safe. He got up to the mountaintop. He and 40 soldiers to pass the danger. And we were there on the ground with the people, watching them in their eyes, listening to their concern and saying, we stand here with y'all. I'll never forget the teacher that came up to us. We were leaving a school in Batero, and they were walking us out back to the boat landing. And she held my hands. She said, sorry, y'all done left me. I said, what do you mean? She said, I hear people flying out of the country. Till the danger pass. Some of them, they fly out. If I'm not mistaken, the very chairman of the region, one, had gone overseas. People were leaving by the boatloads from Region 1. We were heading in. Right? Y'all know me. I just run to danger. Me running from it. Forward ever. We don't run back. We were heading to where the action was with our people. She said, y'all don't leave. I said, no, we here with you, girl. We here with you. We here for nobody cancel the visa and so on. We stand here with y'all. We ain't got a visa for come in Batero. Right? We ain't got a visa to go Barbina and Yarrakita and so on in Region 1. And that's the difference with leadership, Some people is talk it. Right? Some people is talk it. And then they're doing the butterfly, and the butterfly is not leadership. Moonwalking is not leadership. Any clown could do the butterfly and moonwalk. But it's going and looking in the eyes of Guyanese and pointing the way. So we didn't see none of them in Trinidad with the oil spill. None. Not one of them. And so, oligarchs theory, they can tell you about the Exxon, Valdez and this and that and oil spill that happened right next door. They didn't concern. Right next door. They had no concern with that. You see? Right next door. No concern. They talk, brothers and sisters, but they don't walk the walk. You all know from experience, right? You all know from experience. We walk the walk. We walk the walk then, and we can walk the walk now. Together. That's how we do it. We can walk the walk. It's like, This is reminiscent of when they got Fire Prevention Week. You know, in Fire Prevention Week, they bring out everything. Oh, we bought all these fire tenders and state of the art, and this could hold so much of water, and no building and boarding, but they're running up ladder and this and that. You let it go fire. Right? You let it go to fire. you can see the real people, right, brothers and sisters? You let it have a fire, and then you can see the real people. So the police, the fire chief, not the fire chief, rather. This is the deputy fire chief, Dwayne Scotland. He said over the weekend, arson is suspect as the origin of the fire there at Doubleday. Now, I think we know this. It's who set it? Where was it set? Some of the crucial points. Who set it and where was it set? Now, as you know, Doubleday is the hotel there at Tushen where Adriana Young's body was found on that fateful morning of April 24th. She had gone missing the day before. Around 2 o'clock, around 3 o'clock, they discovered Adriana Young was missing, 11 years old. And then the police tried to make them something. Tried to put them on a run around, a wild goose chase. And that is why I said to the National Assembly quite recently as well. Sometimes it's not the legislation, but people don't trust the government. You see the current legislation, you got your antennas up. What the current here? Huh? What up to now? They don't trust them. The police said the girl got in the car, black and red ram. Right? She was seen on the naming. She was seen on these bank. Everything to get the parents from in front of the hotel. I hear policeman, senior policeman, show the mother in his phone. Look, the car here. Look, she going in the car. Look. And you know the CCTV cameras, right? They have fixed every other camera in the world. CCTV cameras are always cloudy and murky. You can never see a face clearly and distinctly. Look. This thing in front. And thanks to folks like Laura, right, who said we are moving. The parents, we are moving. The community, we are moving. We are left in Doubleday. We're not leaving. And they stood their ground there. Next day, you're on the same pool. 5 times. This must be the greatest mystery in the world. 5 times they searched the pool, walked the pool. They sent emissaries to search the pool too, to say to the people, she's not in the pool, y'all leave. She gone in the red and black wrap. But the people stood their ground. Like all of us must stand our ground against the viciousness of a lying PPP. Next day they go on the poll. Arson. Deputy Fire Chief Scotland says, well, I think you're telling me what we know already. Is who was intellectual authors? Where did it emerge? Because Laura said, they're on the ground there. And Laura said, Laura Batson, this fire started the back of the hotel. And the back of the hotel, we told us keep a lot of tenting and a lot of tents and rigging and so on. Right? The scaffolding and so on for the tents and so on. The fire emerged from there. Right? And you know the whole thing, wet pans and suspicious looking woman, y'all know the whole thing top to bottom. The white sheet and wet footprints and y'all know the whole thing. She was not in the pool. Maliciously set. Malicious. Malice is the root word there. Deliberate. Maliciously said. Who? Where? Where did the fire emanate from? I surprised. This is a very vague report. I think it's Chronicle is reporting on this. Very vague. Usually, I keep telling you all, I'm always fascinated that you could go and see a black spot in the ground where a fire occurred. A building was reduced to a black spot in the ground, and the fire service could tell you it started from a fan in the back room at the side of the building. It's a fan left unattended and overheated. All you see is a black spot in the ground. These guys are so good, they could tell you that the room is at the back and the side is a fan. You know. But in this case, it's just arson. They ain't got a direction. Oh, it starts on the top floor, the bottom, the middle, the back room. Right? We know this. We know the building didn't just self-combust. What's interesting, this Chronicle article said that people stormed the building and looted the building and so on. And it goes on to say that these people, these angry mob, went and set fire to the house of the owner in Virginia. Now, no police investigation, no Guyana Fire Service investigation has unearthed that looters, people who stormed the building, they went and set fire to the house. The house burned down, we know that. But what does the fire report say? Right? So I was very, very concerned when I saw Chronicle saying it was the looters who set fire to the building, because I have seen no footage of that, no pictures, no video on that. So they have come to a conclusion before the Guyana Fire Service. So all the fire service said is arson. Arson means fire was set to the building deliberately. Right? Who set the fire? Double A and the reagents? Or was it the persons who were there? Other persons who were there? Who was it? That part now is unclear. That part is unclear. Folks, you ever wake up good? What did the Guyana Fire Service do when that building was on fire? You ever wake up good? Sometimes you just see events are happening and unfolding, and you say, oh, this country crashed. You know? You ever thought so? This country crashed. Plummer says conclusions without details. Right? Conclusions without details. Conjecture. I think that's the word. When you arrive at a conclusion without the supporting facts. But it's Chronicle, so. And it's the PPP, so. We hold them at a lower standard. That's what conjecture is. You arrive at a conclusion, actually, as far as I know. But you don't have the backup. You don't have the supporting evidence to come to that conclusion. It's conjecture. Right? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You ever wake up good, and then you see events unfolding, and you guys say, oh, this crossing country here? It's your own country, you know. You're allowed. Your own country. Like we cross. We need a year of prayer. We need a year of prayer. And probably more. And then we got to come like Pope Leo. Right? Without merit. Fear and trembling. That's how we got to come before the Father. And ask for forgiveness. So we got up yesterday morning. Good. And by the time the day get going, you hear fire. It's Fire Nation. It's a Fire Nation. Fire in the ceiling. Charlie Jagan International. We are international airport and we ain't got sprinklers. This is the longest construction in history, and ugliest airport in the world. Longest, it has No redeeming qualities. None. Aesthetically, no redeeming qualities. Ugliest airport in the world. Longest building. Every day, Minister of Works goes up there. He said, no more extension, no more money. Then the next day, extension of money. Fire in the ceiling. This is in the area you go into, check-in area. Fire in the ceiling. You know, fire in the ceiling. Operations ground to a halt. Fire tenders now gotta be summoned. Yeah, no internal. I'm thinking. No internals. Sprinkler and so on. Fire in the ceiling. And now they're trying to, I see them trying to diminish it. It was a small fire. It was a small fire in the check-in area. You know, it was a small fire. That's what they say. Right. Thankfully, it was contained. Nobody injured. No doubt a little, what do you call it? Perhaps trauma. People shaken up a little bit. Right? What's happening in this country, man? Somebody do we? What happened in this country, man? We crossed day before fire. Fire. So you could imagine the trauma yesterday. Because on Saturday, fire. Fire. This is the East Ramville Community Center. You used to have a school house in the building. I saw the mayor. It's a building belonging to the mayor and city council. I saw them saying this, it was just being used for storage. Whole thing burned down. Whole thing burned down. Whole thing burned down. And then earlier in that day, around the night before that, Friday night, 2 explosions. One at the East Ramville police station, which is a short distance away from the East Ramville Community Center, that burned down. An explosive device placed behind the outpost blew off the back gate. And then as you go into south, or you pass around the Jumbie Bird on Mandela Road there, GPL has a substation. Right? Under one of the new poles they planned there for the power to get to that substation. An explosive device was detonated there as well. Right? Now, what's interesting, brothers and sisters, what's interesting is that there are smart city cameras at both locations, manned by the government, right in front of the East Penitence police station. Right? There is a trench on one side, and then there is Racington Road on the other side. I'm certain that camera can see them. The camera had to pick up something stopping there, somebody going to that section of the building. Have you guys seen anything published as yet from the Ghana Police Force? Same thing at the location, the substation in South on the back road. By the roundabout, that substation there by the Jumbie Bar, that GPL substation. There are CCTV cameras there too. Right? What have those footage revealed? The one from East Ramville Police Outpost, the one from the GPL substation. Those footage. What have they revealed? Are these isolated incidents in 2 days? 2 explosions, the fire at the community center, the fire at Che Jagat International. government? Are these genuine cases of malicious people? Or this is malicious people in government trying to distract? I leave you all to that. I will leave you all to that. Suffice, you all have heard us say here that this is an administration that wants to turn the page on this Adriana Young incident. And they will do anything. Mr. Thank You, Rohan Bisantram, Bernie, they want to turn the page, Roxanne Garway, Dolly and Rastaman. They want to turn. They want to move on. This issue has taken them off track. I saw an attorney for the Adriana Young's family say over the weekend, the investigator from the Royal, the retiree from the Royal Canadian Mounted Badge Police, the retired investigator, he was expressing shock that the father had not given a statement as yet. That several persons were not given a statement as yet. Yeah. He don't understand how policing happens here. That's the problem with him. He don't understand how policing operates here. He doesn't. So why are we dealing with all of these? Fire, explosions, and what have you. On the one hand, this week we got the National Two-Shows Council Conference, the annual conference happening in Georgetown. That's going to be for the entire week. And we want to wish them well there in their deliberations. Again, the National Two-Shows Council. We wish them none but the very best as they meet to deliberate on issues surrounding this theme: robust governance and sustainable village development. Robust governance and sustainable village development. That's the theme they are going to be interrogating during the course of the week. Look also for the heavy insertion of the PPP. Right? Look also, they can try to hijack the National Two-Shows Conference. Watch for it. Right? So that goes up until the 23rd, which I think is Friday, right? For the entire week. And we want to say hearty welcome to our Two-Shows who are coming in from all the administrative regions, from the many indigenous villages. Indigenous lives matter. It matters, right? And I know credible sources put out a little graphic, I shouldn't say a little, put out some words of welcome and so on, right? You ever share it, share it. I know these aren't issues we're in a lot, but we should be, because indigenous lives matter. Indigenous lives matter. It's in my blood, from my father's side. You know, it's amazing how Guyanese move throughout this country. My grandfather on my father's side, he came from the Pomeroon. I was talking to a friend from the Pomeroon over the weekend. He came from the Pomeroon, met this girl in Mabaruma, right? Olive Osario, met her in Mabaruma. They showed me the house the last time I was in Mabaruma. He met her there, they fell in love. And then they went down to Matthews Ridge to start a family. It is in Matthews Ridge now. My father and my mother would meet. She went as a young teacher to Matthews Ridge, right? She didn't like the teaching for too much, you know. When as a young teacher, met the fella there. Met the officer. He was in the Guyana National Service then, GNS. You know, like the cut in the uniform, and she get past the basta. But then she get the hot girl thing from her grandmother. I said, oh, look, you know the whole thing. She get the hot girl thing from her grandmother. So she It's in my blood. So welcome to all my brothers and sisters, our indigenous brothers and sisters who are going to be deliberating during the course of this week. Robust governance for sustainable village development. Y'all don't let the people run your battery. Don't let the people run your battery. So that is happening during the course of this week. And we'll talk some more about that. But weekend is action. This weekend, right, inter-independence celebration is action. Because this is the voting weekend, where the Venezuelans telling us they're voting for governor and representatives for their what is it called? I think Nigel Hughes said it better from the Alliance for Change. This fiction place, something like that. He said, this fiction place. But this government is taking this matter lightly. The government is taking the matter lightly. We know the place is a fiction. We know that. But we got a lot of work we should have been doing, but we're not doing. Because if and them distracted. So they're not doing the work we're supposed to be doing. We should be doing. All right. In the press conference on Friday last, the Alliance for Change focused on this issue. Starting from the census, we as a country, we approved $2 billion in the National Assembly. $2 billion for the government to do a national census. In 2022, we don't have the results yet. A preliminary result was promised, a preliminary report was promised in December of last year. And we're still waiting. May of the new year, and we're still waiting. Right? They don't like the result of the census. You know, just like how they will not like the result of the election coming. Right? You better be prepared to hold a focus. Get your ID card and your passport and so on. Make sure your name on the list. You better be prepared to hold a focus. So, it was reported recently by the Home Affairs Minister. We got 23 or something like that Venezuelans living in Region 4. So where is he getting this number from? Where is he getting his figures from? And then I saw the Foreign Secretary, Robert Prasad, saying 100,000. Where is he getting his figures from? Over the weekend as well. Here is some of what Nigel Hughes said in that press conference on Friday last about the Venezuelans, about the census, about his government, and he has some actions he's proffering. Right? He has some actions too. Take a listen.
A national disgrace. It's not even a scandal. It is a complete and absolute disgrace that 2 years after the census is due, literally 2 or 3 weeks after the Minister of Home Affairs says that there are literally 19 Venezuelans in Region 4, 2 weeks after the fact that we were so embarrassed by the statement of the Minister of Home Affairs, we still do not have the census. We are a country in free fall. Finally, the Alliance for Change wishes to reiterate its unmitigated and unreserved support to the defense of Guyana's borders, its territorial integrity, and for the efforts and sacrifices of our brave men and women in uniform. The Alliance for Change condemns the latest brazen attack of criminality committed by forces of Venezuela when they attacked ranks and officers of the Guyana Defense Force yesterday, May the 15th, while on patrol in the Ettering Bank area of Region 1. This latest attack has to be located on a graph that shows a deliberate and steady escalation of the attacks and provocations against Guyana. For the past 6 months, we have experienced the following incidents. In December 2024, the declaration of the opening of a bridge linking Venezuela to mainland and Coco Island, which you all know is the territory of Guyana. In January 2025, the announcement that elections would be held in a fantasy region known as Guyana Essequiba for the election of a governor and legislative council. In February 2025, the shooting and almost fatal wounding of soldiers on patrol in the Cuyuni River. In March 2025, the incursion into Guyana's territorial waters and exclusive economic zone by patrol vessel identified as ABF Guayaquiri PO11, a Venezuelan Coast Guard vessel. In May 2025, the rejection of the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice and its conservatory orders to halt the planning and execution of the purported elections to be held on May 25th, 2025. And now, this week, the coordinated shooting once again in 3 separate incidents within a matter of hours at GDF soldiers who were clearly in uniform. This emerging pattern is clear and undeniable. It shows that a rogue state in Venezuela is waging an undeclared war against Guyana. The pattern further suggests that despite the known consequences and repercussions, Venezuela intends to stage a special military operation in the Essequibo region. Venezuela's use of military force yesterday, dressed in civilian garb, is eerily similar to the little green men who took over Crimea in 2014. And the tactics being deployed here are very identifiable and fit that scenario. Venezuela may want to feign non-involvement and try to avoid culpability, but its imprint is indelibly marked on the latest attack. There is no mistaking that this was an attack by Venezuela against soldiers of Guyana. The AFC stands ready to support the fair and reasonable efforts of the government and once again demands the reconvening of the Foreign Relations Committee of the National Assembly and the bipartisan Border and National Security Committee that previously existed. This is no time for scoring cheap political points or gaining an adage before elections. Our Guyana, as we know it, faces an existential threat, which can only be repelled by an all-of-nation response. Additionally, the government of Guyana, in addition to briefing its allies and partners, must consider taking drastic and decisive steps to demonstrate its resolve, which may include the expulsion of the Venezuelan ambassador, the recalling of Guyana's ambassador in Caracas, and making a request to the United Nations Security Council to rebuke and sanction Venezuela. We must stop being passive and turning the other cheek. The AFC awaits to be engaged in the interim and calls on all Guyanese to be vigilant, prepared, and supportive of those on the front line.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. There you have it. So a number of issues there. A number of issues there, folks. We gotta walk this week into the weekend. The election is happening on the 25th and independence is on the 26th, isn't it? All right. So we got this to contend with this week. So we got the Two Shows meeting, National Two Shows Council Conference, annual conference, all this week. I hope this comes up. I hope this comes up and they're united in their condemnation of Venezuela encroaching. Hope this comes up. Hope it comes up. Let us leave it here for today, folks, and we're going to circle back to the other side of the day. to some other issues, some other events, perhaps even some other personalities. Let that be it for today. Thank you for joining us in the hundreds, 2,000 of you across social media, across Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys so much who've been here with us for the last hour. Andrew, good to see you on the live. Doug and Don, thank you guys so much. Sharon, Lester, Elton, good to see you folks. Maxine and Sonny, Mahadio, Edward Brooms, and Gwen Anderson. Yeah. We ain't gonna forget Sue, Edward. Edward, we ain't gonna forget Sue Gate. Who, Sue? Same person. Living room Sue. We ain't gonna forget him. Ashley and all the other folks, we're gonna see you guys on the other side of the day. That's gonna do it for us today, Sam. That's our time, good folks. That's our program. Stay safe. Stay safe and have a fantastic day. Have a great day.
Thank you.